Okay, here is the all-important cash flow statement. And I'm going to do an abridged version because we don't have that much time. This was supposed to be a quick and dirty analysis, but I kind of got lost in the sauce, as they say. But here's the cash flow, and note the difference, right? You have, I'm going to bold these two. So all you noobs out there, I know there's a few noobs that are watching. Most of you are seasoned pros because you've been watching me, but some of y'all are noobs, and I hate noobs. Net income, that is the profit left over after you deduct everything from revenue. That is the product you've sold, in this case, planes and missiles. All right? They sold $62 billion of planes and missiles. They had negative $5 billion. They lost money. Next year, $67 billion planes and missiles. But all the costs to make them, they lost $5 billion. Okay? $78 billion in revenue. All the costs, negative $2 billion. So this makes it look like it's an unprofitable business. This is called the income statement. This is GAAP accounting, generally accepted accounting principles, which means this is how you treat these numbers. These numbers just don't come out of nowhere. They're numbers that they have principles behind them. There's a second set of books called the cash flow statement. It has different principles. This basically, the income statement, is basically an idealized version of accounting principles that are meant to convey a certain set of thoughts. The cash flow statement is the same thing, but it's conveying a different set of thoughts. In this case, it's conveying how much cash did we make this year. That is not the same thing as net income. Although they both are pointing to that number. One points at it from an accounting perspective. One points at it from a pure cash perspective. They're both important to look at. In this case, the cash flow from operations for Boeing was $6 billion if you look at the cash flow statement. But if you ask the same question of the income statement, it says negative $2 billion. So on one hand, we have $6 billion profit. On the other hand, we have negative $2 billion of net income. Somebody says accruals. Yes, there are principles in the income statement that will lead to expenses being treated a certain way and revenue being treated a certain way. And those differences can be big, as you can see. If you just look at the income statement, Boeing is losing money. They're unprofitable. What does that mean? Well, if you look at the cash flow statement, they are profitable. They made $6 billion last year. They'll probably make more than that. Look at the trajectory. Negative 3 last year, or 2 years ago. Negative $3 billion. Then positive $3 billion. Then positive $6 billion. Okay? What about CapEx? CapEx is important. CapEx is excluded from the income statement. So we can't look at cash flow from operations without giving some credence to CapEx. Let's give that credence. And we get something called free cash flow. Free cash flow number is a little smaller because we're excluding the capital equipment. But we've excluded that. And it's still profitable at $4 billion. I think you can take these numbers to the bank more than you can take the net income numbers to the bank. So, assuming that's the case, let's look at the cash the business has. They have $17 billion in cash. Let's look at the debt. 52 in debt. So the enterprise value is $142 billion. This is December, yes, okay. So this is Q4 2023, Q4 2024 obviously hasn't happened yet, so we'll get that annual report in like 6 months. The enterprise value is $142 billion. For that, that would be the cost to buy Boeing and retire its debt. You get $4 billion in cash. What's that ratio like? Well, 32 times enterprise value to free cash flow. Okay? But is this free cash flow steady state? Okay, is this the number we can rely on? It doesn't look like it because it's so volatile, right? This number's going up and down like a yo-yo. And we've only looked at 3 years. That's why we're going to go back and look at a couple more years. And we're going to think about the backlog a little bit. And we're going to think about U.S. defense spending a little bit. And then we're going to go on to another stock because I paid spent way too much time on this. But when you look at a stock, you got to take your time. You got to sink your teeth into it. You know, it's like that wine guy that you know, on Twitter. Wine guy Twitter on TikTok. Is that this guy? I don't even think it's this guy. Yes, I think it's this guy. This is how you have to look at stocks. To look very carefully. Can't just race through it and make your trade like some maniac. That's how you lose money. Take it from me. I used to do a long time ago, I used to plan these trades out for months. Meticulous research, burning the midnight oil. Cleaning lady came in and left. Second cleaning lady came in and left at midnight, the midnight shift. Security guards there at 2 a.m. looking at me like, Shkreli, what the fuck are you doing up? Like, I'm working on something. And then guess what? The trade would work. Trade would work spectacularly. I'd make millions. Then what would happen? I'd start feeling myself and I'd say, you know what? I'm just going to make a trade real quick. I like this stock. Ooh, lost 50 grand. That's no big deal. I'm still up. I'll make another trade real quick. Ooh. Lost 200 grand on that. Before you know it, all the money's gone. You gotta keep your discipline. All the profits are gone. So don't try to make, you know, a fortune in 5 minutes. If it were that easy, everybody would do it. Not saying you can't make money trading, you can. But you have to be extremely disciplined. All right, we can go through this one a lot faster because we've already read one of them, right? Well, some of the smartest people in the world invested in our company because our revenue is growing very rapidly and we're very talented and experienced managers.